Hi, my name is Brian, and today we are going to do another video on limits. We're going to evaluate a limit by using a conjugate. So the example that we have is going to be the limit as x approaches 0 of the square root of 4 plus x minus 2 all over x. First step we do is to use the direct substitution method. It is a rational function. We do have radicals, but we have this rule that says if you have one of those two or both, if the x value is in the domain, then we can simply just plug in 0. However, when we plug in 0, we're going to get 0 on the bottom, and we're also going to get 0 on top. So that 0 over 0 is what we call an indeterminant. All right, we can't factor, but what we notice is that with this radical and this minus 2, what I could do is multiply top and bottom by the conjugate of the top, and then by multiplying that out, I will get rid of the square root, because the x that I want is inside the square root. Just to take a look at the graph over here, you can see that when x approaches 0 from both sides, it does approach a y value, though we have an open dot there. It doesn't matter because we are doing a limit. So let's go ahead and multiply top and bottom by the conjugate. So I'm going to rewrite this. Okay. So multiplying by the conjugate would be 4 plus x and then plus 2, because the only difference between these is the sign in the middle has to change. We're going to do the same thing on the bottom. Okay. Go ahead and simplify that. All right, so when you multiply by the conjugates, the only thing you have to do is multiply the first two together and the last two. If you FOIL it out, you'll see that the two middle terms will cancel. This is the good thing about multiplying by a conjugate. When I multiply the square root of 4 plus x times another square root of 4 plus x, you're going to get square root of 4 plus x squared. And then when you multiply the last two, you're going to get minus 4. This is a note, do not multiply this x through. The whole idea of multiplying the top and bottom by a conjugate is to get rid of this x, since the x is making the bottom 0. Distributing this into these two terms, you're just like hiding the x. We're going to have to factor that x back out again. So just leave it out, and then put that in parentheses. Okay. Next, we'll just simplify the top. Since we are squaring a square root, we can simplify that. And so that will just give us the 4 plus x. It removes the square root. You have the minus 4 all over the x, 4 plus x plus 2. Okay. Now the simplifying. There's nothing that cancels with this x, but the 4 and the minus 4 will cancel. So just the x on top. Still have that x on the bottom, and then the radical plus 2. Now you hopefully can see that the x's will cancel. And that leaves us with the limit of 1 over square root 4 plus x plus 2. Now we're going to go ahead and plug in 0 again, because we got rid of that factor that made the denominator 0. Doing that, we are going to get 1 over 4 plus 0 plus 2. Now the square root of 4 is 2, so final answer will be 1/4. I'm going to pull the graph up again, and you can see that as x approaches 0, the y value is indeed 1/4. Anyways, I hope this helps. Take care. Bye.